the John Maakaron, publisher of Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated and host of the Lone Wolves podcast. And he has his own YouTube channel, which you guys should be subscribed to as well, Mr. John Maakaron. John, how are we doing, my friend?
Back from Baltimore. I'm feeling good. I survived. Met Aiden Hutchinson's dad. 2 great flights, lots of old fashions. And I want to credit you guys for having me, not booting me off your channel because all your hater trolls don't love me. But I will say this. Last Wednesday, because I went back and listened, I was like, I thought I told the fellas the Lions were going to beat the Ravens. And some of my colleagues on paper felt like the Ravens were going to win. The doc and his football knowledge told the world, book it, Lions defeating the Ravens. And all of ESPN had their thumb up their ass, couldn't figure out how to understand Detroit Lions football. But just remember, crunch time, the doc, Lions on SI, we know what's going on deeply with the Detroit Lions. What's up, fellas?
Well, Doc,
what's up, Doc?
How Doc, how was the Baltimore? How was the Baltimore trip for you? It was good. How was everything? Was it good?
It was amazing. Look, I'm not the best on flights, but I handled it. I showed my grit, got on the flights, covered the team. It was really cool. I met Aiden Hutchinson's dad, ripped on me for wearing a Michigan State lanyard. He said, on SI, couldn't get you a better lanyard than that. And I didn't understand what the heck he was talking about. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, that's a good one. That's a real good one. And we had a little chat. The trip was great. Some people were just a little bit, it was weird. A lady before I boarded the plane was like, just be careful. You might get shot. I was like, Jesus. She was like, be careful. There's some rough parts. And that's how she introed it. She was like, oh, you guys are going to Baltimore? Be careful. It's a rough little town. You might get shot. Just little old lady. And I was like, oh my God, this is not what I want to be hearing. But I rented a car. I drove around the city. Yeah, there are some rough parts, but I ate a ton of seafood, ton of oysters. It's not a placebo effect. I felt great. I covered the team. The game was amazing to watch. It felt like a heavyweight contest. I loved being in the town. It had a big time feel with big time reporters, and the Lions were able to get the victory. That was special because now I've been to Kansas City, victory in prime time. Been to Dallas, big time win. Been to Baltimore, big time win. I can humbly state that in crunch time, the doc's a good luck charm. It was great, man. It was a great, and then the flight back was just amazing. And I'm back here to talk to the fellas, to have a good time, and to break down the Detroit Lions 2-1. And in the end, Dan Campbell keeps propping up the doc by calling me out. Every time he does that, our site goes like this through the roof. More people find out who I am. More people find out I'm the one that asked that fun, great question. And it's been just an amazing, amazing 2 weeks. I couldn't have drawn it up any better, to be honest with you. It was a great trip. I can't do that full time. It's a grind, but when you commit to covering a team and you do it, it's a fun ride, man. I hope everybody gets an opportunity to travel and cover a team. It was a fun experience.
Well, Doc, we're happy you're here. I'm glad it went well. Glad you didn't get shot. I'm happy for that. So we have you here, Doc. And I do want to ask you, we talked about the game, obviously, last week. We previewed it. You said it. You said it was going to be a shootout. It was going to be that type of game. But what kind of statement win was that game to you, just based on the narrative? The last 2 games for the Lions, because you have the Lions losing to the Packers in week 1. Week 2, they dropped 50 on the Bears. And then people are like, well, it's the Bears. They dropped 50 on a team that's not good. And then they dropped 40 on a team that is good. So what does that mean for the naysayers, the Johnny Morton naysayers, including myself after week 1, where I'm doubting the guy? I'm like, what the hell is going on? This offense looks really bad. What do you think that game did for just confidence in Lions fans taking on the Ravens on the road?
Well, first of all, you have to also put it in context. The Lions had a bad performance, and it was eye-opening. The film totally revealed that, yeah, part of it was due to the Packers, but the Lions did not do what typically works. The motion wasn't there. They didn't execute a lot of trick plays. They settled for a lot of things. That's not what is going to be successful for John Morton. They learned quickly. And so in the end, when John Morton runs the John Morton, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell offense, look what happens. So in essence, the Lions, just look at the last 2 weeks. All everybody said was and expected was that similar performance against the Packers. It took a while to get the engine started. It's Detroit. Sometimes the engines take a little bit of time to rev up. And that's all everybody said was, wait a minute, with all that talent, it should not look like how it looked against the Packers. That's all. And everybody was like, hey, once John Morton had 2 great game plans, look what this offense can do. Trick plays, great route running, great blocking, execution, scoring points, Jahmyr Gibbs emerging as a talent. That's all anybody that critiqued week 1 was wondering was, wait a minute, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. You could show that right away. Wait a minute. I thought this offense was supposed to take time. I thought what I was told by all the slappies in the chat and by everybody, it takes time. It takes time. No, it doesn't take time. When you have the talent that the Lions have, week 2, week 3, we saw the offense that I wanted to see week 1. So I'm not lowering my standards. That's the standard. And when the Lions meet it, everybody's happy. So great for them. It's a statement win. And I thought it took time. It takes time to get rolling. No, it doesn't take time. Clearly, when you have the talent and you have the right game plan and the coach figuring it out real fast, sometimes it takes a disaster for everybody to get on board, rally, and get after it. And look, now everybody's happy because they look like a team that's Super Bowl caliber. It's great. It's amazing.
I've interrupted the video to tell you, and specifically all those blue-collar workers out there, about the best work boot and workwear brand out there, because you guys know how hard it is to choose work boots specifically. We've all done labor jobs. We've all needed work boots. And choosing work boots means sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt thought that was BS. So they built tough work boots that feel great from day one. No break-in, no sore feet. I've wore a bunch of different boots, and these are by far the most comfortable work boots I've ever worn. They felt comfortable right out of the box, which is rare. No long, painful break-ins like these other brands. But they're just not comfortable. They're built to perform. So it's more than just comfortable. Whether you need waterproof, safety toe, soft toe, pull-on, or lace-up, they got options that you can utilize. Also, use the code CT Sports for a limited time. Our listeners will get $10 off at Brunt when you use the code CT Sports at checkout. Head to bruntworkwear.com, use the code CT Sports, and you're good to go. Use the code, and after you order, they'll ask where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell them it was from our show. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. I mean, look at these things. Love these. Soft toe. These are beautiful. I ordered these. I'm definitely going to be wearing these when you're working outside, working on different things around the house. You never know when you need them, and they're clean. They're sleek. I love these. So go get your work boots or workwear at bruntworkwear.com. Shout out to them for sponsoring the video as always.
Yeah, Doc, I do want to, one thing that I'm interested to hear your thoughts on was his Lions defense, because we know, especially with the Packers game, we were kind of waiting to see what this defense was going to be about. And it felt like there was just so many highs on Monday night with this Lions defense, from the 7 sacks to 30 pressures, Brian Branch almost getting the pick. It just constantly felt like in big moments his defense stepped up, and Shep on the side, just the energy that he had. What were your takeaways defensively from this game, whether it's good or bad? What did you take away after this Ravens game?
Look, man, I love the defensive effort. Look, it was 14-14 at halftime, competitive game. The issues with covering tight end is always going to be there when you have an elite tight end like Mark Andrews. The Ravens came out and were able to move the football. And look, everybody's honing in on Terrion Arnold, and I understand the discussion, and that's an elite standard. And he understands now that people are paying attention to every move he makes when you're a first-round corner. That's why it's one of the toughest positions. It's like the quarterback of the defense. But the defense, man, they got after it. It was amazing. All those, I mean, literally, I never expected to see a game where the Detroit Lions defense was going to, one, run a dozen plays where they used the spy. That was awesome. Two, the ability to take apart a weak interior offensive line of the Ravens that was a proven weakness, and they took advantage of it. I love that when a team, and so that's why I think it was overblown on the defensive side to have concerns. Calvin Shepard is he learned quite well under Aaron Glenn as a former player. I never really had too much doubt that the defense would make plays. Look what happened. They emphasized turnovers. Aiden Hutchinson with a punch out. Derrick Henry helps you out by giving you a couple extra possessions with turnovers. It was amazing to see that we all thought, and quite frankly, I thought that Lamar Jackson was going to have a day. I thought me and Lamar were going to party. Two great guys handling their business. But in the end, the Lions dictated to the Ravens in the second half, wait a minute, it's not your time. And yeah, there were going to be some, look, man, the Ravens have a good team. They have pieces, but they also had some key injuries. Let's also put it into context. 2 key injuries for the Ravens, but hey, that's not our problem. So the defense, kudos to Calvin Shepard. 7 sacks, getting 2.5 out of El Quadin Muhammad. I loved all of it.
I did want to ask you, Doc, about the staying on defense, because I want to ask you a couple things on the offense, but I do want to ask you the TA stuff. TA in the first half did not play well, but the second half he did get better. He didn't give up his really anything, to be honest. He was much better. What do you think about just the narrative around town with Terran Arnold kind of in his second year? I know he had a good training camp, and me and Booner got to see him at training camp. He played really well, and now it seems like in the season he's struggling a little bit at times. What have you kind of made of him through 3 games and just projection for the future, confidence level?
Yeah, look, man, it's a tough position. There is an expectation that he's got to start to play man-to-man, but it's tough to play man-to-man for an entire game. But that's what Dan Campbell said. He's like, that's the expectation. Go out there. And look, Terrion Arnold has to just make more impactful plays. And he starts games a little bit slower. It's a little bit challenging, but also it is a challenging position. It's just really tough. DeAndre Hopkins is not a slob. Zay Flowers is not a slob. These are the best of the best, but Terrion Arnold has to win some more of these battles, and he gave up a touchdown. His numbers statistically aren't great, but at the same token, he's a battler, and there is a 4-quarter game. Second half, he was much better, but unfortunately, it is a position where you can make 2 good plays, 3 bad ones, and everybody's going to focus on when you get cooked. It's a tough position, but he's mentally tough. He's got to get better at man-to-man. He's got to work on his craft, like Dan Campbell said. Is the narrative, it's always kind of in the middle. I don't think he's a bust. You fans, if you're calling me a hater, it wasn't me typing Terrion Okudah. It wasn't me going on Instagram and typing 6 is so. Whoever wrote that, whether it be a family member of a teammate or whoever was sharing that, the media wasn't saying that. It was you fans. So you fans are nasty. You fans are mean. You guys are really disturbing in the way in which you talk to the Lions players. Terrion Okudah already? I get it. It's a 2-way street. You don't like my questions? I don't like your commentary. I don't really like the fact that you would tie Terrion Arnold to Jeff Okudah. Now, it's interesting. You all haters out there would do that to the first-round draft pick publicly, but I get it. I respect it. It's a high standard, and that's the way it should be. You hold Jared Goff to that high standard. You hold Terrion Arnold to that high standard, and it's the way it is. But also remember, too, Darius Slay struggled at times. Rasheed Mathis struggled at times. I expect Terrion to steadily get better. The problem is that when you take a cornerback in the first round, there's an expectation that it's Terrion Arnold Island that I don't know if I see shut down in his future. I don't know if I see that. I see productive. I see solid, but I don't know if I see a Derek Stingley. I don't know if I see one of the game's great cornerbacks. I see maybe a very good one, but I want to see what that step looks like, but I don't see it just yet. So he's got to prove it to everybody because you all are quite very nasty. Terrion Okudah, my goodness, you guys are mean.
Doc, what do you think about Jack Campbell in that performance? Obviously, he had the whole cut. We actually just posted it. The cut looks nasty. It does not look like a great cut. But he had probably one of the best games of his career on Monday night. What did you take away from seeing what Jack Campbell did?
Yeah, man, he made that great play, right? He held his position, and man, he's a tough warrior, dude. You got friendly fire from Brian Branch, and he's out there. And look, he's steadily growing, is communicating. And man, I just felt like from a lot of the sacks also came from linebackers as well. So it was a great overall performance. I thought the linebackers did well, tackling and everything like that. You saw the commitment that he had on the play at the goal line, and it just really speaks to some development that you maintain your fundamentals, do your job, and in the end, it was just a little bit too much Detroit Lions offense and a little bit too much mistakes from the Ravens, but great game from the linebackers. There's things to clean up always for the team. I felt like maybe, they're going to look at some of the early runs of Derrick Henry. That touchdown maybe could have been a little bit different there, but by and large, when things are going well and they're winning, the offense, that's kind of the way in which, if you frame it, that's kind of how I feel like this football team is going to go. The offense dominates and the defense just does enough, help out when needed, complement the offense. So it's time to talk about it. If Brad Holmes does not act like Scott Harris and acts like Howie Roseman, if you get 2 or 3 impactful players and add it to this team, why not the Lions win the Super Bowl? Why not? You just went toe-to-toe with the Ravens and out-physicaled them. That's a great sign. And good teams have good luck happen. And I don't want to say it this way, but sometimes addition by subtraction helps. Maybe not the injury situation, but maybe removing 92 from the lineup might have, removing 91 from the lineup might have helped this football team. You never know, because do you really miss Marcus Davenport at this very moment? You hope that if and when he comes back, that he's more impactful. But my goodness, guys, let the hype train begin. Look, you beat the Browns, which most people expect if you're a 9-10 point favorite. You get the Bengals without Joe Burrow. That opens things up for a great first half of the season for the Detroit Lions to have a great start to the season. It's a good time this week. And starting with that defense and Jack Campbell, things were great, man.
It's time to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper, because you guys are football fans, and if you think you know football, then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players. If you're a Lions fan, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, with more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money if your picks win. Use the promo code CT Sports, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply, as always, and stay tuned, because I will be giving out my picks weekly for all Detroit Lions fans. Remember to gamble responsibly.
Is he an all-pro linebacker, Doc? Did this week show you a little bit, hey, this guy's got it? Finally, is it like, hey, we got to see a glimpse of his peak? It felt like it. It fired me up a little bit. When I saw him flying around, I went, that's an all-pro type of linebacker flying around the field, especially with that cut and that tape that they just smacked on his face. It felt like it.
Oh, man. Is he an all-pro?
I'm not saying like as of now, but I'm saying that game was an all-pro type of game.
He has the traits. Hard worker. I do think he's got to continue to get a little bit better in coverage. But, yeah, he's on his way, man. He's doing his thing. He's learning the game. And what better coached for him to run the defense than a former linebacker? It's just, look out, guys. And also, too, let's not discount Derek Barnes. He had a great game. He had a wonderful game. And also credit Calvin Shepard. I couldn't even get a question off. There were so many people asking him questions last week about the defense. Nobody asked about the QB spy, but he ran it a dozen times. That shows adaptability. That shows a commitment to doing whatever works. And I'm very, very happy with the defense. If you can get 7 sacks, that's a good day. Aiden gets 1. Al-Quadin Muhammad gets 2.5. And for 1 week at least, we can all in the chat, we here on this show, we can say, we're good.
Hey, I'm just real quick follow-up on the linebacker thing, because I'm fired up about these linebackers. I said on Monday after the game on our post-game doc, I legit, from Jack Campbell to Anzalone to Derek Barnes to Zach Cunningham to Trevor Nowatzki, I think is this the best linebacking room in the NFL right now, 1 to 5?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I love the way in which that unit as a whole can gel collectively better than the sum of the individual parts. It's I don't know if I would say the best in the league, but I can't tell you. You know why? I'm so locked in to the Lions that outside of whooping Adam Beydoun in fantasy football, I'm not really sure what the heck is going on across the league. So you can tell me who is comparable, but I like what the Lions have in regards to the youth. I think having a healthy Derek Barnes is a big addition. He played really well. He can get out there. He can get up on the line. He can do some things. Alex Anzalone is trying to prove himself continuously, and Jack Campbell. And then you got the young stud and Grant Stewart and Trevor Nowatzki. It's a good room, man. It's good enough for Detroit. No doubt about it. But best in the league, I don't know if I see that just based on, the points allowed and some issues in coverage and things like that. But they can work up to it.
Well, Doc, you kind of alluded to AQM, and I know Brad, when that post-game speech from Dan Campbell, Brad was right there with AQM, probably like, yes, AQM making plays. I know he's been getting a lot of heat for that edge room. Would you, what just your thoughts on just kind of him as a player? He's having one of the hottest starts out of, he's what is he, top 3 in sacks? He has 3.5 in 3 games, and Doc, he barely played in week 1. So it's really 2.5 games. The guy has 3.5 sacks. What have you made of AQM? I know he's on the injury report. If you can kind of give some more information on that, but just him as a player, he was the player of the game and got the game ball against the Ravens. Are you confident in him kind of being the answer? I know you mentioned you want more depth in the room, which many people do as well, but what have you thought about AQM and his level of play?
Yeah, it never changes. You can never have enough defensive line help, as evidenced by the Lions, and it could be for intel on the Browns getting Quentin Jefferson. Why not? So I look at it from the perspective of Al-Quadin Muhammad is a Dan Campbell guy. What does that mean? When Dan was working with the Saints, a young player was battling to make the team. His name was Al-Quadin Muhammad. And Dan went to him and said, man, you're battling and grinding daily against our tight ends. We like what we see. Dan told Al-Quadin, if you practice like this, battling, you might not make a team right now, but you will find a role. People will notice you. And Dan has went out and found him. What does that mean? Dan, whatever your talent level is, can trust Al-Quadin Muhammad on every play, is going to give the Detroit Lions everything he has. Everything. And what that means is this is a player that values the opportunity, respects the game, and when he's given an opportunity, produces. That's a Dan Campbell guy. That's the definition when people poo-poo or roll their eyes, and when we say next man up and they don't believe it. That's the definition of a solid role player that also can produce, that also in his career is still getting better, still working his craft. Also remember, Casey Rogers is now, he's one of the most respected defensive line coaches, and he's going to put in the work. When you have, I always believe that hard work trumps talent all the time. And Al-Quadin Muhammad is a guy that is a grinder. He's got the respect of the team. He's earned a additional role, expanded role. And like I said, he might be a better fit for what the Lions need than, and I'm not going to say it seriously, but it's funny to say, the Lions got to find another edge rusher opposite of Al-Quadin Muhammad. And it might be Aiden Hutchinson, you know what I mean? But the guy's getting all the attention. But at the same token, it's great that Aiden's getting all this double teams and triple teams. It opens things up for Al-Quadin Muhammad. But also, too, remember, Dan Campbell said there are not going to be games where he gets 2-3 sacks because there are plans, and he said it, listen to it, where the plan for the defensive end is to work the other offensive linemen into blocks so that others can get an opportunity. Dan said it. He maybe there's going to be times where the coverage, the blocking scheme flushes it to DJ Reader, or maybe it flushes it to Aiden Hutchinson. So as long as Kelvin Shepherd and the Lions put together a great rush plan and pick apart the right weaknesses, guys, with some additions, this could be a very, very, very fun year.
Yeah, I want to ask you, Doc, on the offensive side of the ball, one of the most interesting things I think that have came up, especially yesterday or on Monday's game, was David Montgomery in the big game that he had. How do you see this running back room? I know we had this conversation with you at the beginning of the season. I can't remember which side you leaned on. Jeff and I were on the side that DeMont looks like the best in his career when it comes to him being in shape and what he looked like in training camp. A lot of people wanted Jahmyr Gibbs to go up to 70% of the touches, and it's been 60-40, and DeMont's taken control of this running back room essentially through the first 3 weeks. What are your thoughts on this room and what DeMont did on Monday night?
Yeah, man. Don't forget about David Montgomery. Man, first of all, what's everybody mad about with Amon-Ra St. Brown? Didn't he look into the camera and was like, I run this stuff, partner. Isn't that what he said? I don't know. Did I hear something different? I thought he said that, right? I run this, partner. What's everybody complaining about? But listen, his interview with Amon-Ra on the podcast was very funny with this kid in the background. And they were joking around about, Amon-Ra's celebrations. David is a lighthearted individual. Did you know he's 84% Lebanese? He told me he's 84.5% Lebanese. And, that's the grit in him that he's sorry, I read it was hi man. Listen, he's a grinder and he's also competitive. Like when you see all the love that Jahmyr Gibbs gets, sometimes you got to also feed the other guy too. And he's a talented back. I always felt like, when Jamal Williams left, I was one of the people that was like, man, you're letting a guy go that has so many touchdowns, but it was a great addition to bring in somebody that was a perfect fit. And you know why? Dan Campbell said, when I watch film, the man his feet never stop moving. So to see him earn the touchdown, to see him earn a breakaway explosive run was great. To see Tate Ratledge manhandle people on that touchdown run, you see Tate Ratledge celebrating because he blocked the guy away from the play. It was amazing to see. And I was of the opinion that you give the football to Jahmyr Gibbs because he's explosive. But if you got two great running backs, you just find the opportunity to get them the ball. And you heard it too, Booner. I heard earlier, you got it right. John Morton knows, hey, the challenge is to establish the run and to be able to punish your opponent. If you can do it with both, that would be kudos to John Morton if he was able to get with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and say, hey, what can we tweak a little bit to make you both as happy as you can be? So far, so good these last two games. If you're able to win and get explosive running plays, look out. You're almost unbeatable.
Yeah, Doc, I mean, the offensive lines, to kind of parlay off of that, I mean, the offensive line's been elite the last two games. They haven't allowed Jared Goff to take a sack. I mean, he's been hit probably once or twice. What have you thought about the level of play they've been playing at? Because I think people did not expect it to be this early, that they're playing at this high of level. Not that they weren't capable, but this early. And you have two guys that are starting on that O-line that have only played in probably, 5 combined games? I guess now it'd be under 10 combined games for both of those guys. What have you made of the offensive line play as of the first 3 weeks? After week 1, which we went into it, how bad it looked.
Well, that was a great question. But first and foremost, there was a person who said, there's a standard here. And that was me. I said, run the offense. I expected it week 1. Me, the guy that asked Dan Campbell the question. I expected it right from jump because Steelers got going early week 1. Jets got going week 1. Guys, it should have been going week 1. That's the fury that you have when you go, wait a minute, the talent was there. I saw it. I said, that should not have happened. Communication issues. You don't need communication issues. It's the same freaking, if you would have had the same offense, you don't have any communication issues, but they overloaded them with so much information, they couldn't handle it. But you're allowed. You're allowed one game where you look like that. But the next two made up for it in a million different ways, thankfully. The offensive line, it starts there. You give them basically, as much as passionate we are, the first game was the first day of school for Tate Ratledge and Christian Mahogany and Graham Glasgow. And they had their little jitters and they forgot their backpack and they forgot their lunch pails and the issues became glaring. It happens. But boy, when you flop that big in that offensive line room, they got out physical. It was taken personally. And when they watched that film of that first week, they knew that was not anywhere near how we were going to play to help Jared Goff win, to help the running game. That's the engine. And the engine fell apart. It dropped. But they fixed it real fast. They had the Middle Eastern mechanic who's very honest, gives them very fair prices, doesn't overcharge. They went to the Middle Eastern mechanic and they said, we got to tune this line up real fast. And boom, Tate Ratledge is a monster. Christian Mahogany is a monster. Graham Glasgow, veteran. They got back to playing effectively, maybe scaled back all the jargon in the communication. But bottom line, if the offensive line plays great, wins the trench battles, the Lions are going to run up and down the field on everybody in the National Football League. So it was amazing. And Jorge, of course I knew that. What do you think I asked Dan Campbell? I asked Dan Campbell, run the same offense, which means what? What does that mean to you? Are you an idiot? It means score a lot of points, run up and down the field, explosive plays, trick plays, which you saw the last 2 weeks. So get your head out of your ass and figure it out.
Oh, Doc, come on now. Hey, I want to throw out there, I know you already talked about the defense a little bit and AQM, all that. What are your thoughts on the whole situation? Obviously, I feel like it's been a big talking point here with the fan base. Obviously, this whole edge room, defensive line room. And after this game, 30 pressures, 7 sacks, all of this goes on. There, you always had the people taking the victory laps, hey, apologize to Brad Holmes. But even though the first 2 weeks there was essentially not much, where are you at with this whole thing, Doc? Because you have been in those rooms with Brad Holmes over the last 7-8 months, and you have been someone who has actually asked Brad Holmes those questions. So all of a sudden, because week 3 they had a big week, a lot of fans act like those questions are irrelevant now and should never be asked, and you should apologize for asking them. How do you see this whole situation? Do you still think they should go out there and pursue edges, or where do you see this thing going?
Okay, I'm always of the opinion more. The Tigers are showing you right now that when you have listen, there's numbers. Here's how football works. There's analytics. You can dive deep into the numbers and look on paper and come up that the Ravens are going to win, or you can look at the psychology of sports too, which is a factor. Why are the Tigers flopping and are a disaster? Someone could tell me if they're winning or not. They were losing when I hopped on. There's a psychology.
I believe they're losing now, 3-1.
Yeah. There's a message. Scott Harris sent the message to his team that they don't believe. They went out and got a bunch of crumb bums and made the team worse. You send the message, hey, it's time. When you add talent, it's time. It's time. It's crunch time. This football team is built with offensive talent. The defense is gelling. You have everybody in place. Luckily, more. I want another offensive lineman depth. I want another receiver, and I want 1 or 2 more defensive linemen. Why would I not ask for that? Why would I not ask for more? More. If you have a good team, you always make it better. Always. Just look at the Rams. They went out and got Odell Beckham. They got Von Miller. They added pieces last year. Everybody was saying, you don't pay running backs. You don't handle this. You don't do this. You don't make a trade. They went out. The Eagles went out and got Saquon Barkley. What message do you think that sent to the team? Let's effing go. So I don't care about sustained success. These opinions are mine, me personally. And I don't care what anybody thinks about it. This is what I will always say from now until my dying day. If there's anybody that you think can add to this football team, you go and figure out how to do it. The time is now. What are you waiting for? Sustained success is fine. You can sell that, but people don't really care about that. I feel like you get the one Super Bowl and you ride the wave for the rest of your whole career. They're right there. And I hope the Bengals keep losing so that Hendrickson's available. There's also one of my great longtime fans sent me somebody, I forgot the name, from the Saints, is a defensive end that's actually healthier. So there's going to be opportunities to go out and get some guys. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to add. They're going to add. I don't care who. I don't care if it's just a backup. They're going to add. It sends the message to the team. The time is now to go out there and compete, win, and not just get to the NFC Championship and choke, but to go to the Super Bowl and have maybe Mina Kimes sit up there and Laura Rutledge and Peter Schrager. When it comes down to it, if you add, maybe one of them will talk to their producer and figure it out that you don't go and have 10 analysts all pick the Ravens. Maybe if the Lions play the Ravens or Bills, maybe if you add, maybe others will put the Lions logo in the Super Bowl as the winner. We'll see. But you always add. Always. What is the problem? Why are fans so adverse? Because the general managers tell you that? They sit there and go, we're good? No, Scott Harris told you we're good. Dan's always going to tell you we're good. I said it on a podcast, and another reporter wrote it. He's protecting his own guys. He's not going to go out there and say, I don't believe in Al-Quadin Muhammad. But in the end, fans' job is to demand more, and Brad Holmes' job is to field the best team possible. Why do you think they have workouts? Why do you think they add talent? Why do you think they went out and got another tight end? They're always going to add. It's the best thing to do. And especially with this team, I feel like if Brad Holmes is aggressive, tell me the argument against adding talent with this team. You could be looking at another 13-win year if you add 3 impactful players. You could be looking at it. You could. I mean, why not be able to start to believe it? You could be right there on the doorstep. Just add.
Doc, also, a lot of talk over Jared Goff being in that elite category. He's playing really well. I know David Shaw was, he was hyping him up, said he's elite. He's an elite football player, and I think Dan Campbell said there's no one you'll take right now over Jared Goff. I don't know he's, of course, going to say that, but what have you just thought of Jared Goff's level of play? And would you put him in that elite category based on how he's played in Detroit, or you think there's still some other things maybe you're looking for, or he has to prove, or where are you at with Jared Goff and the level he's playing at right now for the Lions?
It's amazing level, right? Dan Campbell with the epic praise this morning, saying that he's doing high-level stuff. You know he is. He's got 2-3 plays ready to go. His job is to get into the right ones, and it's hard to argue, right? So here's the secret. If Jared Goff is clean, the Lions offense is going to be mean. Don't let you saw, bro. I'm not going to be mean. I'm going to say this nicely. Mr. Jared Goff, we need not do anything off script. Just if the play's dead, let's go back to what you did successfully last year. Just throw the ball on the ground. There was a couple plays. He tried to move his feet and throw the ball, and it didn't look right. And let's just say, he actually could have gotten a couple extra yards if he would have plowed through the guy, but I'm not going to begrudge him the lack of rushing ability. You are a traditional Joe Montana, Dan Marino pocket passer. If the offensive line doesn't do their job, just throw the ball in the dirt and let's get to the next thing. His off-scriptness is not crispness in my world. So clean and crisp is the way to go. That will get you as far as possible. It's really going to be the offensive line. You keep Jared Goff clean, that offense is gonna hum. I mean, I don't see any reason why not. But if they don't, like they did, look what you saw. The Lions offense was great. When that offensive line basically died on the field last year against the Commanders, Jared Goff looked like a rookie. So that's the secret. That's the secret sauce. Protect Jared Goff. Give him those 3 seconds to survey the field. He'll find Amon-Ra St. Brown. When he's got that pocket, put a lock on it. Jared Goff can be the top 3 quarterback in the league. Problem is, these defensive ends, the further you go in the playoffs, they get better. They get more physical. They get better. I mean, I can't wait. The next matchup, I can't wait to see how Myles Garrett does against the Lions offensive line. I can't wait to see how the Eagles handle the Lions offensive line. There's going to be some tests, but listen, it's time to jump aboard the Jared Goff train. And number 1, put it all on the offensive line. Protect JG16. Protect the man. If you get protection, in this case, it's the right thing to do.
Hey, you're spot on, Doc. What was the saying? Can you say it again? The Jared Goff one? Your one-liner? Your one-liner? Your Jared Goff protect you. What was it? Say it one more time for us.
Bro, what I say? I said
killed it. I mean, you need to trademark that.
Run it back. Someone clip it and run it back. I don't
remember what it was like.
I'll find it, Doc.
Protect Jared Goff. It was unbelievable, Doc. That might have been one of the greatest one-liners of all time.
Put it on a T-shirt. Put it on a T-shirt.
We should. We'll give Doc
and give me 50 cents every time you sell it. But listen, it's
all right. Deal. 50 cents. Shake on it right now. Every time. 50 cents. Deal, dude. That's a steal for us.
Everyone you sell. Listen, I listen. You have to believe in Jared Goff. You have to support him. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. The problem is that I'm a greedy MFer. I'm Middle Eastern. We want it all. We want the pie. We want the whole store. We want the whole franchise. I want Jared Goff. Plus, like, can we just figure out a way, some weird way where Jared Goff lays on a table and we insert some kind of thing where he gets Lamar's legs? If you marry those two together, you'd have the best quarterback in the history of the National Football League. But the man can't move. I mean, he goes, runs as fast as he can and goes 2 yards. So it's just the way it is. but man, he's bringing back, he's making pocket passing great again, and I'm very happy to see it.
Yeah, I do want to also ask just kind of an update for the people because injuries, obviously, for this Lions team is just always going on. There was a bigger injury report today. Is there any major updates or things that, the people need to know? I know you were in Allen Park today. Was there anything major? I know you talked to Sione Vaki. That's a big one. Any updates on guys, Doc?
Yeah. The chat said it, so I can repeat it. When Jared Goff's clean, the Lions are mean. That's
there. It is.
That's
Trademark
it is.
that.
Per the chat, and I think that's what I said. There it is. Ghetto boy Juan, fellow Spartan dog, what's up. Thanks for looking out.
Go blue.
Yeah. Go green, baby.
Yeah. He said, yeah. He was. Yeah.
Listen, they won against Nebraska. Give them their flowers, and you guys got something going.
You guys, you hung in there. You guys covered.
Yeah, it's good. All right. You
Plus
look at
18.
it. What did you just ask again? I'm sorry.
Injury updates.
Injury update. Yes. You know why? I when you said that at first, my first reaction was players. With me, when I got a chance to talk to Sione Vaki one-on-one. I'm kind of aware now that there's some idea that, hey, like, just avoid the headline with that guy. Like every player I've always talked to, I think I'm batting 1,000. If I ask them about their injury, they've always told me, yeah, I'm good. I'm playing. I'm good. I'm playing. I'm good. It's been a variation of that. Sione was a lot nicer, a little bit more candid. Look, I'm just going to go with the injury report. He didn't practice today on the walkthrough. I'll look again tomorrow. But, he talked to me, and I'll write a story about it. He feels more like a running back. He feels more comfortable in the position. He doesn't want to make noise about his injuries. He's more of a serious, kind of player. He doesn't want to make headlines about his own injury. I tried to ask Dan Campbell last. Nobody else asked about it, so I did. And Dan Campbell said they'd know more today. I got to probably phrase it differently because I asked him, are you ready to play? I should be specific, like, hey, with your groin, are you going to be healthy to play? But, these guys give me their time, and I asked about a bunch of other stuff. And, I've been getting lately, when you ask direct questions and they know you're going to ask stuff that people want to know, I walk up to him today and I'm like, hey, Vaki, can I get a couple minutes? And he's like, it's kind of like this. Well, okay. And so I want to laugh and say, bro, like, it's not that serious. I'm going to ask you about your game, about your coaches, and about your injury. This is not rocket scientist here. So it's funny. I love that. Most people say yes, but I'm getting a lot of the, I don't really want to talk to you kind of vibes with all these players. And actually, it makes me very proud. That makes me proud. They know that if they talk to me, you're going to get asked some questions. And luckily, for the most part, they overhype whatever's being told to them about me. It's direct questions asked honestly and openly. So what am I going to ask him about? I asked him about John Morton. I asked him about Tashard Choice. I asked him about his game. And it was a little frustrating that he's dealing with some injuries up and down. And so players don't really want to talk about injuries too much, which is smart, because if he starts opening up about, well, yeah, the groin up, then 2 days later, a running back's going to be working out. So to me, that will not be my forte, is a player trusting me to say, yeah, man, I'm dealing with a bad groin injury. It's going to really suck, and I'm really not going to play this week. They're not going to ever tell me that. That's fine. I've accepted it. I laugh at it, and I kind of am liking it. When I walk in a room, everyone's like, oh, it's not that serious, guys. It's just a reporter asking some direct questions, but I kind of like it. It's a little bit, you got one eye open on the dock. What's he going to ask? But it's unfortunate that he's dealing with a groin injury. It's up and down. I was a little surprised that Craig Reynolds took the shelf because of Sione. I think it's tough that, a guy that contributes. I know that, he's had some stuff going on down, some plays that he'd like to have back in terms of Craig Reynolds, but I think you can trust Craig a little bit more than Sione right now. I hope Sione plays. He's got a higher upside, but unfortunately his injury situation is preventing him from practicing and being on the field. So he was honest, candid, but like I said, he just told me, I'm always ready to play, baby.
Yeah, well, Doc, I guess it's a perfect transition to kind of ask you about, by the way, I went to go find your saying here in the background. So Appreciate Get a Boy Juan for doing that. What's your kind of thoughts on this Browns game here? Could you get a sense of potential trap game, or you think this should be a walk in the park? Where are you at with kind of the matchup here with the Browns? Because a lot of people, not obviously in the building, they feel good and they understand what's at stake, that every game isn't going to be an easy one. But I think most people would say short week, facing the Browns, let's just get this thing over with. Let's, just blow the Browns out, take care of them. But the Browns just came off a big win against the Packers. What have you kind of made of this Browns team in that defense with Jim Schwartz?
Yeah, look, Jim Schwartz, you got to respect it. He's a guy that is a well-respected defensive coordinator, but I think he can get got. I think the Lions understand that they got to execute, and I don't think they're going to win by 10, but they're going to win. I feel like, it's going to be fun to see Mason Graham and the combination with him working with Myles Garrett. You got to be careful about Garrett. You got to just play clean football. I don't believe the Lions are going to fall into the trap. This has the makings of what people call a trap game. You have a short rest, but the Lions are relatively healthy. They're going to go in there, and I think they just have better offensive talent overall. I think the Lions have an opportunity to compete strong. I do think it's going to be a grinded out. The defensive line of the Browns is a whole lot better than the Ravens. So the rushing could be very challenging. This might be a game where the screen game action gets into it. You got to maybe lean on a little bit more of J-Mo and Sam Laporta. But the run game might be, it might be difficult to find some daylight. I'm very concerned about Myles Garrett. This is a guy that on any given play can beat, whoever he's going to face off against. So it's going to be, incumbent upon Sewell, Decker, get after it and win your battles. But it's going to be tight. I feel like it's going to be a good game. I'm excited for the opportunity to see how the Lions tackle two of the game's solid defensive linemen. And then, look, it's Joe Flacco. The issue is don't let him hang around. This is a veteran. You don't want to be up like 9-3 in the fourth quarter because that dude just finds a way where he's like chipping away, looks bad. Then all of a sudden, boom, all his receivers look like, he makes them look like Jerry Rice with his accuracy in crunch time. So the guy knows it all. I think you're going to get after Joe Flacco. I feel like you're going to get 4 or 5 sacks on him. He's not the most mobile. You have a chance to win some more battles. So I'm liking this opportunity. And from MC3 Whodat, yeah, that's right. Goff called Mason Graham a perfect 3-tech, and I got the chance to record it. That was awesome to hear. That was a fun interaction because Jared didn't know who that was at me. He's like, Graham. He's like, what are you talking about? Graham's on our team. And he's like, oh, Mason Graham. And he said, Mason's perfect 3-tech. So you got a perfect 3-tech and Myles Garrett. That's a nice start to a front four to be able to pressure the quarterback. But I'm excited for the opportunity, man. I like the challenge of a good defense against a good offense, but I feel like the advantages in a lot of ways. Christian will do the tail of the tape on Friday. A lot of the advantages I think are going to go the Lions' way, at least offensively. And plus, too, Jim Schwartz, he's aggressive, he's tactical, but there's chances where if you blitz and you don't get there, Jared Goff has answers. So you could see Amon-Ra St. Brown early, right over the middle on a blitz, take it to the house early in the game. So look out. The Lions are going to, you got to give John Morton credit. The man has experience. And if he's up in the lab, seriously, at 3:30 every day, trying to put these guys in the right position, I just love the fact that he treats me the same way he treats the players. Everyone's been saying that he lights people up. He yells at people every single day. And you got to kind of respect it because, he's going to evolve as a play caller, but in terms of schemes, so far, the last two have been pretty good. So credit to him.
Doc, I got to ask you because I don't know how we went a whole, essentially an hour almost without bringing Amon-Ra St. Brown up, but he has been elite, Doc, through 3 games. And we actually put a tweet out today. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but since 2023, so essentially this season and the previous 2, I think he's 3rd in the NFL in receiving yards, 1st in receptions, and 1st in touchdowns. What are your thoughts on Amon-Ra St. Brown? We've had this. Jeff and I actually had this conversation throughout the last few weeks that he's potentially a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Do you think this guy's a little underrated? It feels like a lot of people don't put him in those conversations because he's maybe a little undersized, but it feels like just week after week, he might not, like he only had 70 yards this last week, but it felt like every single play that he made, Doc, was in a big moment for the touchdown, the 4th down to essentially lock the game up before the DMOT carry. Like, he just continues to come through. Do you put him in that category of top 3 wide receiver? How do you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown on this team?
Well, in terms of your accuracy report, I brought up Amon-Ra St. Brown, but in the manner of his celebration. But it's true. He runs this stuff, partner. That's what he does. He just shows up. I can relate to him. He just shows up, does his job, excels, goes home, does podcasts. Can't beat that. And I was going to write it, but I didn't know how to eloquently say it because it's just simple to say. The combination of Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the single best wide receiver quarterback tandem in the game right now. You need a first down play, give it to Amon-Ra. You need a second down play, give it to Amon-Ra. You need a third down play, give it to St. Brown. You need a fourth down play in 2, no worries. Beautiful toss, 14 from number 16. It's beautiful to watch. It almost, and the biggest compliment really I can give a player, I told Amon-Ra directly. I said, man, listen, he was walking off the field. I said, it's not a question. Amon-Ra's been great. And I asked him directly. I said to him after the game, everybody was looking at me like, why would you ask that? What do you mean why would I ask that? I said, you played the Ravens, you beat them. You want to run it back in the Super Bowl against them? Great question, I felt. And he gave a great answer. Now, it wasn't like, not something that's going to go super viral, but he gave an answer. That's what's great about Amon-Ra is he can answer a myriad of questions from a myriad of ways because he's so smart, so thoughtful. And I walked up to him, it was last year after camp, and I said to him, man, all I can tell you is I watch and you just make the game look easy, bro. And you just go out there, you catch the ball, you run after the catch. Everything that you do just looks good. Routes are crisp, catches the ball, good attitude, good swagger. He's mild-mannered on his podcast, but tells jokes. But then on the field, he's a rabid dog. And you got to love it. And that story that he tells, I can relate to. He takes things personally. He's offended by the fact that he was drafted in the 4th round. He's still offended to this day. And so that's why you get that where he makes a play and he screams into the camera, I run this stuff, partner. And it's a pleasure to watch. He's easy to cover. He's quotable. His podcast is great. It's an all-tool situation. And there's literally, what more can you say? He's good at what he does. He wants to do better. He is somebody that when you watch him, you see excellence and you get an opportunity to cover it in his prime. And he's the most down-to-earth dude. I almost want to ask him to come on a podcast, but I don't know who to connect with. Is it his dad? Is it Equanimous? Would he ever come on? I don't even know what we talk about. You're just great. I'm great. You're great. You're great. I'm great. And it's just, what are we going to talk about? But I love, there's talking to players is fine, but there's certain players you want to see and you don't want to get boxed out. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I've had to miss a couple because it's just me. And I want to get some other interviews too, but Amon-Ra St. Brown's an all-world type of person. And he's nice. He's a nice person. There's maybe a handful of guys that will just walk by you and actually give you a fist bump. He's one of those kind of guys. They may not like what they read about, but they understand it's fair and he'll acknowledge you. I mean, what else can I say? I respect covering him. And, probably a good goal for me would be to get Amon-Ra St. Brown on my podcast to talk about his podcast. So I've been running into some, what would I call it? Some ghosting from some other players. I'm working on it, but it's a tough thing, man. It's tough when you call and text and you get these numbers and nobody calls you back. I don't know what else I got to do. I've tried, but it's fine. I'm working on it. I got to re-strategize on how would I book a guest to talk to me when, I've said and done the things that I've done.
Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.